Welcome to my channel. My name is Emmy from Emmy Evolving. If this is your first time joining me, thank you for finding me. If this is not your first time, thank you for coming back. So guys, I asked what this conversation was going to be about, and I feel like it makes me look so tiny. I asked what this conversation was going to be about, and what I heard is time to fight the darkness. There's a lot of shifting energies. I'm sure you guys have noticed. I haven't really been live for nearly 2 weeks at this point, minimal amount of on-air time. And that is for a very specific reason. There's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, and these things that are happening are things that we really need to make sure we're mindful of how we move through this period. There's going to be attempts and invitations to move and act and view life in a way that does not honor you. I'm telling you, don't fall for it. Okay. So when I asked what this conversation was going to be about, what I heard is time to fight the darkness. For many people, and you guys, if you watched my last video, I was talking about okay, so, we're supposed to kind of just let things happen, let things unfold. Yes. You are to deal with your stuff, whatever circumstance that is directly yours, but not to involve yourself in other people's situations. Okay. So if you've listened to soul, you're about to kind of speed through a process that is very intense. If you have not listened to soul, well, that's all I gotta say about that. We're all able to decide for ourselves whether we're going to listen to the instructions from our own soul or not. Just know that whether you listen to someone, whether you listen to yourself, you literally are the only one that's going to be stuck with the outcome. Literally, you're the only one. And I've found that as of late, I have had to really enforce boundaries, speak firmly with no apology. Last night, I had to send a communication, and it was difficult for me. I'm going to be honest. It was a difficult communication for me to send because I have never, in the history of this particular connection, I have never been firm, right? And so the response to the initial conversation was something that was very I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh, I feel horrible, and all of that. And before I could send it, soul is like, no, you need to remove all of the I'm sorries. And I'm like, what? What do you mean? I want to communicate that this is not something where I'm being callous and I don't care, because I do care deeply. And soul really pointed out to me, this is the last remnants of a trauma that occurred. The person didn't traumatize me, had nothing really to do with the person, but the person was kind of like a placeholder of grief, unprocessed trauma, avoided life circumstance. That's what they represent to me in a very subconscious way. And so soul gave this instruction of you are to communicate what needs to be communicated. There's a boundary line being set. There is no apologies for the boundary being set, because in no way, shape, or form is this boundary a necessary boundary, coming from a space of not caring, a space of throwing them under the bus or anything like that. And so I had to go ahead and remove all of the I'm sorries, because it was like every other sentence was I'm so sorry, right? That was difficult. That was difficult. It was, but it was necessary. It was necessary to the degree that I realized once they responded, this is not reciprocal. This is not reciprocal. I'm not. I will never say that this individual is someone that's intentionally malignant, because they're not. They would not have been part of my journey for as long as they have been if they're intentionally malignant. But it's not a good match, right? It's not a good match. It is something that's very skewed. And if I'm going to leave that portion of my existence behind, the type of character that still lives in me, where I'm willing to put myself in harm's way, I'm willing to allow myself to experience detriment, not just to me, but to my family. I need to leave that behind. It's not that I need to leave people behind. It's that I need to leave behind the versions of me that allow for darkness to overcome me, to overwhelm me through guilt, shame, sadness, grief, all of these different things. And unfortunately, that is what this person subconsciously represents. Does that mean I have to leave them behind? If that boundary can be respected, no. But if it cannot, yes. This is how we fight the darkness. Now, darkness is not intrinsically evil, but it does contain the parts of you that you have refused to understand up to this point, refused to integrate into the wholeness that is you. And I had to recognize what this person who's been a part of my journey for so long, what they've come to represent. Mm-hmm. An unprocessed grief. It's been said by many, many people, the only way to combat darkness is with light. That's wrong. It's wrong. Light will always only ever displace the darkness. Because where you move the light is where the darkness will avoid. It does not eradicate the darkness. What needs to happen is we need to lose our fear of the dark, immerse ourselves in our shadow, and allow that immersion to be the very thing that reintroduces us to our true strength, our true courage, our true power. So, time to fight the darkness. What darkness are we talking about? The portions of you that malignant intentions live in, hide in. Are they your malignant intentions? I don't know. I don't know. For some, which I'm hoping is a very small number, yes, it's your darkness. It's your secret desire for others to suffer because you've suffered. I get it. I do, but it's not okay. That needs to be shifted. For most, that shadow is where the malignant intentions of other people reside. That is the part of you where other people's malignant intentions can grab a foothold, can begin to burrow into your perception of yourself. You can't allow that anymore. You cannot allow the very thing that's prevented you from growing, that's prevented you from getting to a space within yourself where you are finally centered. I don't know what's going to happen. I just know something massive is about to occur. It's going to be initiated tomorrow. By who? I don't know. Does it matter? Does it matter? I think for many of us, what we fail to realize is we begin to excuse away malignant intentions based on the type of label we've given someone. So, would you allow a stranger to disrespect you, to call you out of your name, to betray you, to treat you poorly because they can, because they know you won't do anything about it? Would you allow a stranger to take something from you that's very precious to you? So if you said no to all those things, let me ask you another set of questions. Have you allowed someone you love to treat you poorly because you love them and you know they're wounded and it's just, I'll love them into wholeness? Have you allowed someone you love to take something from you that's so precious to you, but it's just, they don't have anything? It's because they don't have anything. And, I'm the only one that cares. When you do these things, when you allow the very people who you love, who have access to deeper portions of you, to do these things to you, you know what happens? I'll tell you what happens. People are very, very eager and have been for many years to hear me speak about parasitic circumstance and parasitic modus operandi. This is the way they operate. When they watch you and they witness the people you love, the people you trust, the people that you excuse away, do things to you with zero, absolutely no repercussions, they earmark those people. What does that mean? Well, when it's time to breach your field, those are the very people they'll use as Trojans. They will enter those people because those people are already destabilized. A truly stable person would never do that type of thing to someone else. Never. They just wouldn't, because they're aware of their capacity to restabilize, even in moments of instability. They would never do that to someone else. So this destabilized person, by virtue of their instability, internalized, projected externally, it doesn't matter. Instability is instability is instability. By virtue of their instability, they are very easy to breach. And so they'll go for the easy one. The reason they'll go for the easy one is because the easy one has the access to the hard one. Yep. And this established pattern is going to be extremely hard for you to break. So what will you do? You will allow and allow and allow. And every single time you allow with no correction, you increase in your level of resentment. Well, now you're resenting that person. Oh, damn. That person always, they always, no, you always. You always allow. You never correct. You never inform of the appropriate boundaries that are being crossed. So it's you. It's not about blame. It's about understanding the degree of power you hold over yourself. So it's not impossible to breach me, but it's sure as hell difficult. It's always been difficult. These days, I would say I'm approaching impossible. Not there yet. Might not ever get there. That's not the point. It's much more difficult. Why? Because even if I love you, you approach a line, I will let you know. You attempt to put a toe on that line, I will let you fucking know. And you try and make me feel bad for reminding you this line exists for a reason. Don't test me. Well, then, for some, what will end up happening is you will have your access to me completely and irrevocably removed. Because I think I'm better than you? No. Better than the version of me that allowed access to me? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I am no longer afraid of my shadow, my darkness. I'm not. Whatever needs to be said will be said. And however I feel about it, once I've said what needs to be said, I will allow myself to feel. I will allow myself to process, and I will dig deep beneath the wound to make sure all the infection is removed. It's time to fight the darkness that's become corroded. It's time. I think for many of us, we confuse other people's darkness and malicious intent with our own. We can't keep doing that. Starting tomorrow, something's going to happen. I don't know what. I honestly don't care to know. I don't care to know in advance, especially if I have no positioning to be able to do something about it, where I just have to watch it happen. I just have to witness people I care about experiencing things I can't stop. So, for many of us, you're going to be exiting out of that space of incubation. You're going to be pushed front and center in your life. And honestly, that's where you've belonged this entire time, anyways. That's where you've belonged. And the more you've allowed other people to think that they are the priority over yourself, over your own family unit, over your needs, your journey, all of that, the more difficult you've made your journey as well as their own. The more you have earmarked them, the more you have broadcast into creation. This person that I love, this is the one you go for. This is the one you go for. Hurt that one and you'll reach me. That's how parasitic things function. That's how parasitic things function. If my kids come to me and they're talking about they have something parasitic that's happening, a parasitic experience, parasitic dream, parasitic sensations, I'm not going to be like, oh my God. I'm going to be like, okay, then what happened? Whatever is viewing to see which one of my kids you're going to fuck with, you're not going to see anything from me. No, absolutely not. Nope. Why? Because I will not tell you which of my children you will focus on and fixate on to harm me. Bottom line is this. You approach anything that I've determined to be something I love, I'm going to fucking wild out. Why? Because it's finally an excuse to wild out. That's why. Because I'm going to test out some new abilities. Because, well, that's what you get. That's what you wanted. That's what you get. None of my children are to be earmarked for anything. My husband is not to be earmarked for anything. None of the people I count as friends are to be earmarked for anything. I don't reveal anything that needs to be kept safe and hidden. Is it out of a space of fear? Absolutely not. I just don't want to be inconvenienced. I've learned what I needed to learn over the years. I don't need to repeat those lessons. No. Oftentimes, allowing yourself to come out of incubation requires you to get to a place within yourself where you recognize how little you know about yourself. You need to get to know yourself. You need to experience your magic once again. You have the capacity to shine in such a way that can displace the darkness for as long as you need to become solidified in your positioning at the point of center within your field. You ask any of my children, how do you combat darkness? You get something darker, because the darker thing can consume and integrate that which is less dark. When you are the dominant consciousness, they must do exactly as you command. You need to enter into your true sovereignty. A sovereign does not bow in submission to a lesser consciousness while they are in their own kingdom. Now, I wouldn't go into someone else's auric field to try and dominate them. That's just ugly. You try and come into my life, into my space, into my auric field and try and dominate me. Let's just say, had I chosen that path, I would have made a fabulous dominatrix. Fabulous. I would have no apologies for the ways in which I manhandle whatever that consciousness is. None at all. I would feel absolutely no remorse. Why? You are a foreign invader in a sacred space. Why would I apologize to you for making it hard for you to enforce malignant intentions upon me? Why would I feel sorry? You have to exit out of that space of kindness and enter into that space of reality. What's actually happening? Not kindness, niceness, right? What's actually happening here? Is it time to be nice? Where you're not in agreement, but you don't want to say it because it would be rude. Be rude. If you're kind, truly kind. I know I'm a truly kind person. I know that without any doubts at this point. Am I nice? No. I used to be. But that was during a period of my life where I was emotionally manipulative. Emotionally manipulative in the way that I would martyr myself to assure myself that you would see kindness and value in me. I would allow myself to be harmed so I could force you to see me in the way I want you to see me. Did I ever emotionally manipulate someone into doing something they didn't want to do? Never. No. But emotional manipulation is emotional manipulation. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's still me trying to force you to see me in the way I choose for you to see me. These days, I don't exist in that space of fear anymore. You're going to see me however the fuck you're going to see me. I have no say in that, nor do I want to say in that. How did I get to this point? Well, I began to realize what I offer even complete strangers. You don't want it? Good. One less person to spend time on. And some might be like, damn, that's cold-hearted. No, it's not. Because when I give to someone, I give the totality of me. Not everyone deserves that. And so when you identify yourself as someone who does not want that, perfect, beautiful. Keep that same energy. Don't ever come back to me. Don't. Why? Emmy, what if people learn? Well, I'm glad I helped you to learn. Now carry on with your life. Our paths diverge. You carry on with your life. But what if they need you? I'm not here to be used. You see, once upon a time within the darkness that lives inside me, I believe that if I allow people to use me, to exploit me, to treat me as a novelty, that they would see I have some type of value. And they would allow me to stay on the outer fringes, as long as I behave myself, on the outer fringes of their existence. I deserve more than that. Not because of what I give, but because I exist. This is how I see everyone else as well. The darkness that you're fighting is the part of you that allows the words of others to still have a stranglehold on the way you see your worth. As of right now, I can say this with confidence. There is no one else in this entire fucking world that can do what I do. My skill set is very fucking unique. That's not to say that will always be the case. And even if I'm able to cultivate the same degree of skill set in someone else, my value does not drop. I no longer need to compromise myself in my eyes just to convince you I have a value. If you can't see it, that's perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. I'm not trying to convince you of anything, but I promise you, you're missing out on something you will never find in someone else, and that's okay. Maybe you don't deserve it in this life. It's not for me to say, but you've already decided that. You need to have that mindset with most people at this point. This concept of you're here to save other people. I believe in psychological terms that's considered a God complex, a Messiah complex. I don't suffer from that. I'm not here to save anyone. I'm here to facilitate. I'm here to assist. And if you don't want my assistance, you know better for yourself than I do. I also know better for myself than you do. It's not a loss to me. It's not. It's not a loss to me. It's going to be okay for both of us. I remember one time someone initiated a interaction with me, I believe I think it was on TikTok. And they were talking about the emerald tablets of Thoth. Thoth. And they were like, they were in complete disbelief and basically was saying I'm full of shit because you could read the emerald tablets 100 times and still not understand the full gravity of what Thoth was sharing. And I was like, well, just because you can't understand it doesn't mean I can't. I read that shit once and I was able to read between the lines, the words left unspoken and written. As a matter of fact, the things in that tablet were simply a reiteration of a code of conduct that I've been aware of since childhood. To me, Thoth is not a god. He is a blasphemer. He is a shadow that speaks with a forked tongue. He peddles information that did never belong to him. Ever. That was never his to keep or give away. And I'm aware of that. This darkness has crept into basically every single nook and cranny, especially online. Does that mean you should never be online? No. Stop. That doesn't mean that. Does that mean you should be afraid? Why would you need to be afraid? Well, fear serves a purpose. Fear exists to bring your attention to the things you need to pay attention to. Whatever you're afraid of is the very thing you need to run headfirst into so that you can conquer it and prove to yourself there was nothing you needed to be afraid of in the first place. So that's what I've been doing all these years, running headfirst into the very thing I'm scared of. If I'm afraid of it, the more fear I experience, the more depth of awareness I have about how important it is to run headfirst right into it. And some people might be like, well, because you're ballsy. I don't know. Well, because you're brave. That maybe. Because bravery is not about the absence of fear. Bravery and courage is about what you do when you feel the most afraid. I'm centered. When I feel fear, all it does is activate my entire template. Whatever direction you come from, I will put my shoulder into it. You will not enter if I don't give you permission. And it does not matter how many approach me at the same time and from what direction. When you begin to exist within your limitless state, and I'm only in the baby stages of that, It doesn't matter how many or how malignant the intent. You know you can handle whatever life brings your way. I will handle whatever life brings my way. It might include tears. It might include frustration. It might include a sense of internal destruction. But I've come to understand my perception of internal destruction has also been erroneous. I've never been destroyed by life, but I have had life deconstruct the parts of me that were no longer aligned or appropriate for the task at hand and the direction that I'm headed. Just a simple shift in the way I see a very necessary process has completely empowered me. Am I being destroyed or am I being deconstructed? Deconstructions are intentional. A deconstruction means it's a preparation for you to be built up in a fortified manner, in a manner that's more appropriate, a manner that's up to code, right? Whereas destruction is just a melee. It's just a fucking free for all. We're approaching a free for all. We are approaching a free for all. Whew. Okay. All right. You're going to be given guidance from your soul. That guidance is going to help ensure that everything goes in accordance with the way it needs to go for your growth. Okay. This is a period of extreme, rapid growth. If you are able to grow and learn in a way that is sufficient for your soul, you won't need to experience the traumatic event in order to learn that lesson. I've homeschooled my children their entire lives, right? And there was this thing that we used to do when we were part of this specific program in California. It was kind of this thing of like, because my kids are very fast learners, like fucking ridiculously fast. And so one of my kids, I would tell him, go do your homework, because it was an online portal. He's still very young, and he could already read. It's an online portal. You log in, and if he tells me this is easy, or he already knows it, even though we've never covered it, I tell him, okay, you take the assessment, and if you pass that assessment, you're done with the lesson. I'm not going to give you busy work. You know, he finished an entire school year in 3 months. 3 months. How long is a school year? I don't know, like 8 months, 9 months, 10 months? I don't know, something like that, right? He finished it in 3 months. Yeah. By the time he was 12, he was doing, was it trigonometry? Was it calculus? He was doing calculus. I didn't fucking understand calculus. I didn't understand it at all. I didn't even take calculus. Like, you want me to teach you calculus? Yeah. Because I allowed him to speed along. I'm not going to waste your time. If you can pass that test, you're done. Because that test is proving that you understand, you've mastered the concepts. If you can master the concepts that your soul is trying to teach you with this specific life lesson, take the test. You're done. You're done. You don't have to do every single worksheet. This is part of the reason why a lot of families will struggle and ultimately fail with homeschooling, because they think they need to force their child to do every single problem on every single worksheet. Do they understand the concept? Why are you wasting their time? Move on to something else. But they have to, like, school is 8 hours long. Yeah, because some kids need more time. Why are you going to punish your child for being a fast learner? Why do that? It's to a point where it's not this thing where I have to sit down and have to yell at my kids to do schoolwork. They'll do it themselves. If I don't mention schoolwork, they'll be like, "Hey, could you check my homework? I'm already finished." Like, "Oh, you did schoolwork? Do you understand it?" Yeah. It's very rare they even make mistakes on their schoolwork. Why? Because learning is not a punishment. You apply everything that I've shared with you about my family dynamics, my kids, you apply that to your soul journey. You've been punishing yourself for not learning in the way that other kids learn. That's why you're so pissed off about your growth. That's why you're so pissed off about it. You're trying to do what other people are doing. You are not them. They are not you. You allow yourself to be immersed in your shadow, you'll learn so much about yourself. Lindsay says, can you show people what you've been working on for the Baneful Protection workshop? You guys want to see it? Hold that. Let me airdrop this video because you guys need to see. The Baneful Protection workshop is this Saturday. Let me put the link up while I get this video out. You guys, I'm very excited about this. This is the first time that I am fully embracing, just like fully embracing the part of me that remembers all of this. And it's been a very eye-opening process for me. Very, very eye-opening. Oh, here, let's to downloads. I still don't have a laptop. I still have my husband's laptop hijacked. Here. Let me look at this. So, oh, it just automatically shows it? Okay. All right. Look at this. What does that make you feel? Just look at that and feel it. Ooh. And that sound. Yeah, I have a whole bunch of things that I've made, and these things, they stem back from my memories. They're not recipes or things you can find online. I don't know if I've ever told you guys. I probably have never told you guys. I have an extreme awareness and knowledge of how to use sigils and seals. Here's one. I can't show you guys up close because, you know, people will do some. This is a portable seal. And then I've been working on it. It's not everything could fit in one bag. For those who got the kit, the bag's overflowing. I will either have a second bag. It might not even fit in the box because I made so much shit. It's ridiculous. It's like, ooh. I have multiple types of 3-day luminous ceremony kits, multiple types. I have, cleansing baths, spiritual baths. Yep, just look at, ooh, cleanse all of the caca from you. I have, ooh, and you know, I found these little I have so much shit. It's ridiculous. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Circle caster. It's black barrier powder. Nothing is getting through. This is the fuck around and find out kit. I also made some baneful ward powders that you could use. There are, and I'm not even done. There's a baneful ward kit. It has all of these different things that you'll need to create just impenetrable protection. Y'all. I'm telling you, just I don't know. I mean, like I could just rather than live stream, I could just like make witchy content all day just to protect you and your family, just like these little snippet videos and never interact with anyone ever again. I don't think that's allowed though, but it is what it is. It is what it is. But definitely let me show you guys this again. Because this right here. Ooh. The uniformity. Oh my Lord. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. I think there's room for 3 more people who want kits. Don't quote me because I'm not sure someone might have bought something this morning, but I think there's room for 3 more kits. I only made a specific number of kits. So nobody get mad at me if those are all sold out. And no, I will not be offering this again. I don't know. I don't know. Have you ever heard of dream pouches? I'm telling you, all of this information just kind of like just filtered and flitted along my brain. Specific things are being included in order to protect you or your child from night terrors, succubus, incubus activity at night. And it's just, you don't got to do anything. You just put it in right there. Complete instructions. So, whatever this free for all is, it's not like our community cannot be prepared for it. Yeah. Whatever the free for all is, we don't have to care. As long as you're aware, you can do what needs to be done to mitigate what needs to be mitigated, what needs to be neutralized. Will there be Circle Caster available separately at any point? Potentially. 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 Yes. It's a lot that I made. It has a lot of things that can't be replicated though. So, it really depends. But yeah, I definitely can email me, Charlie, email me, and maybe we can work something out because people need those pyramids. They absolutely need those pyramids. All right. So if you can negate whatever it is that's going to happen, if you can begin neutralizing the attempts, reducing the type and depth of access to you, then you don't have to worry about this. For many people, by the time next summer rolls around, everything will be upside down. That's because an upside down cycle has been initiated. Whatever this upside down cycle is, again, if you are proactive, it will not completely destroy your life. And what do I mean by proactive? Like what? I'm trying to sell you something? No, you need to begin being honest with yourself about the places within you, within your character, that need a little more attention and love. Are you easily triggered? Okay, that needs to be addressed. Why are you easily triggered? What is it? What's being triggered? Does it have to do with your lack of awareness that your process is really a process of avoidance rather than a process of learning and integrating what you've learned? One of the things about my own journey when I was really doing a lot of my own shadow working stuff. It had to do with me recognizing I was taking these specific actions, like say, I will block someone, right? You're very toxic. I'm blocking you. Back then, I was blocking you because I didn't want to deal with all the things that you were doing. And it's avoidance. These days, when you avoid, that means you're rooted in the soil of fear. These days, I'm not rooted in the soil of fear. So if I identify you as someone toxic to me and my journey, I'm going to cut you off. Why? Well, because I've already gone through that and I really have so many other things that I need to do in life. I'm far too busy for the inconvenience that I know you will bring into my life. You haven't allowed yourself to do any of the self assessment that's necessary to understand the way the world around you receives you and your actions. And I really don't have it in me to be your teacher. So I'm just going to walk away. And I'm not going to allow you to continue to have access to me because I already know what people who have your type of character do once they realize they will no longer have access to me. So I'm going to let you wild out in private. I don't want to see any of it. You do what you do. And then eventually you'll move on to the next person who you'll be fixated with. I'm not going to participate though. It's not from a place of anger, fear, hatred. I have things that my soul wants me to get done, and I'm going to do it. I can't have you interrupting the process. You see the difference? Whereas before, again, it's the same action, but the root of why I choose that action, that response is now very different. Before I was like, oh no, this fucking bitch. I fucking know what you're gonna do. Not anymore. It's just like, okay, I'm not interested. I'm very, very aware that you have needs that I cannot fulfill, and I'm not even going to play with you. I'm not willing to. I'm just not. You do whatever you need to do. I will not be present for that. I will not be accessible for that. And I'm just going to carry on. So you do whatever you need to do. Yeah. There's no fear. There's no negative emotion attached to it. This is a very powerful way to move through this circumstance that we are now being entered into as a collective whole. There are things that need to be banished. There's something happening right now. I can feel the energy. There's going to be a shift starting tomorrow. Whatever that shift is, you need to fully occupy the reality of how powerful you are over yourself and your life. Nothing that I talk about, nothing that I teach, nothing about me is about dominating other people and forcing them into behavioral patterns and connections that don't honor them. Nothing about me is about that. Your power is about how you control yourself and how you move through your journey. It's time for you to no longer be afraid of how powerful you actually are. And I know for many of you, it's this thing of you hide your power because you're afraid. What if you lose control and you hurt someone? I have never met a person who has that worry, that logic, who doesn't have control issues. You are always in control of yourself and your circumstance to the degree that it's harming you. It's affecting your growth negatively. You will never lose control like that. I promise you, you're incapable of letting go of control. You've been so fixated with control over self that you will never let that go. You will, however, at some point need to loosen the death grip you have on the reins You need to loosen that death grip so that you can move and flow more beautifully, less resistance. You need to allow yourself to experience other parts of yourself. And I think for many of us in this community, in our community, we're getting to a point where our soul is preparing us to deep dive into this awareness of how powerful we actually are over ourselves and over our own lives. Again, not over other people, because that's just, I don't know. I don't know. There's just something about me that would never agree to allow someone to control me. I did at some points in my life for a very long time. At this point, I would literally rather fucking die. hmm Yeah, never, 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 never. And because I'm that way, I just couldn't do that to someone else because there's something about me that consistently projects myself into someone else's shoes. Like, oh, I don't want to do that to you. Like, I wouldn't want someone to do that to me. So I don't want to do that to you. That's like asshole-ish. That's asshole-ish. And yeah, I have the capacity to be an asshole, but that's not really appropriate for this circumstance. So I don't want to be an asshole to you. A select few who I have been an asshole to, I relished it. Why? Because they've been an asshole to everyone else and no one has had the courage to stand up to them. And so I'm like, game on. I promise you, I can out asshole you. But for most people, I just don't want to. It's ugly. It's ugly. So at this point, what you need to do is address what you've hidden within yourself. Concealment cloak. I know. I'm about to say something rough. I am. There are quite a few of you in our community who have done such an amazing job hiding just how powerful you are behind this veil of fear, limited existence, and distorted perception of self. And let me get my seal. I'm gonna not lean forward. Put the phone close to put it close to your head. Lean forward. Okay. You trust me? Because I love you. Okay. We cleared that blockage? Did we clear that blockage? Let me do it again. One more time. Phone close to your head. Turn the volume all the way up. Phone close to your head. Ready? 3, 2. I'm not waiting for you to prepare. The blockage is cleared. Okay? Me, your ancestors, and your soul, we've had enough of your shit. Quit playing with yourself. Quit playing with yourself. Enough. Okay? Enough. It's time for you to step up. If you don't choose to step up, well, you're going to be forced to by your own higher self. Take it up with your soul. Don't take it up with me. Take it up with your soul. See? Calling you out right here, the prison waif, self-sabotage, poverty consciousness. There you are. There you are. There you are. No more. No more. Okay? If you're going to watch this replay and you need another clearing of the third eye, and put the earbud to your forehead. Just put it right there. Clear your third eye. Okay? Discipline, armor, boundaries. You've been so disciplined in your life, but you've really convinced yourself that you have no discipline. Okay, let's put it in these terms. How long have you been suffering in the way you've been suffering? How long have you been doing without? And you know how disciplined you have to be to continue to commit to something that's so painful and detrimental? Okay? You have the discipline. You've just been inappropriately using that ability to be disciplined. Okay. The chess queen, trust and strategizing, but it's in reverse. You haven't been strategizing in any way, shape, or form. You need to start. You need to start approaching these spiritual matters in a very strategic manner. Strategic in that you are taking certain options and selecting those because of their elevated ability, to provide you the outcome that you want, the outcome that you need. All right. Fairness and balance. Your soul will absolutely be fair in its process of rebalancing you. So if you're fighting it, your soul will hold you down. If you don't like to be held down, you need to stop fighting it. It's very simple. It's very simple. Very, very simple. Preparation, prayer, sacred ritual. Okay. All right. For those of you who are attending Saturday's workshop, I need you to bring a pen to the workshop. If you don't have a pen during the workshop, that's perfectly fine. You'll be able to access the video after the workshop and have the pen programmed. Look, I'm being told. So you guys don't know this. You guys don't know this. There's a specific pen that I use. No one else uses it. No one else touches it. It's a very specific pen. It's my manifestation pen. It is. It is. Preparation, prayer, sacred ritual. There, that pen is the only pen that's used when certain elevated things are wanting to come to fruition. So when I write my lists of whatever it is that needs to be written, I use specifically that pen. No other pen, just that pen. And for those who are joining the workshop on Saturday, the pen that you use, the pen that you bring, it will be the one that you'll be using to begin manifesting some very intense things. I'm thinking I'm probably more than just baneful protection. I'm going to be teaching maybe a couple techniques that will help with manifestation. It's not enough to just defend yourself and constantly be in a space of like needing to fight things off. We also, in order to have balance, need to be able to bring beautiful, powerful things into fruition, right? Beautiful, powerful things into fruition. Charlie says, soul wants forehead to the floor type submission. Yes. Years ago, we were talking about submission on a live stream years ago. And it was this thing of I became aware that soul didn't want me to bow in submission. My soul wanted me to have forehead to floor, forehead touching the floor, zero resistance, which I get it. It's something very difficult, but the most powerful thing that I learned during that period, and it was a very intense learning period, was that it wasn't hard to bow. The hardest part about the full submission was maybe the last inch or half inch or maybe even less, because it's at that point that I'm reaching the threshold of my capacity to do what I'm being told to do. It's in that point, it's at that point that I'm reaching a space within myself where I'm fighting my own process. And it becomes painful. And you know what I learned? That's not something you can do. That degree of submission is not something you can do if you hold your breath and try and force yourself. You just can't. How do you do it? You release your breath and you sink ever so gently, slightly deeper into the position your soul has pushed you into. And you hold it for a moment. And you take another deep breath. And as you release, as you exhale, You release even more of your resistance, sinking just a little bit more deeply into it. True submission cannot be forced. It has to simply be allowed. The High Lady of Love and Compassion, Reverence, Kindness, Consideration. It's in reverse. So, two things. Your soul is calling you out about being mean to yourself. Knock that shit off. And also, your soul is calling you out for exhibiting a degree of kindness, reverence, and consideration for people and circumstance that never deserved it, never earned it from you. Meaning you're enabling poor behavior, you're enabling poor treatment, and it needs to stop. The resting tree, patience and stillness. See what I'm saying? It's in reverse. You've rested enough. Now's a time for heavy duty work, heavy lifting. Heavy lifting. So there's someone that I know who we were both preparing for competition. We're kind of like in it together, right? Because my coach said, it'll be fun if you have another girl that wants to compete too. That's what he said. And so it's been this thing. We're not competing against each other. We're supposed to be, supporting each other, which we do. And I remember for a period of time, she kept like being frustrated because she wasn't experiencing the degree of hypertrophy that she was working so hard to earn. I mean, she was working her ass off. She was doing like extremely high reps and, those things you see on social media where you do 10 sets of 10 and just some crazy ass shit. And I'm like, why aren't you growing? What the fuck? Like, why aren't you growing? If I'm experiencing the gains that I'm experiencing and I'm older than you, and you could do dirty bulking and all this stuff that I can't do, like, why are you not growing? What is going on? Well, I realized it recently because our coach sent me a video where, and before he sent me this video, like a week before, she shares with me that, yeah, her legs, they finally popped, right? Her legs, her booty, everything finally popped. She's experiencing growth. I'm like, oh my God, that's so awesome. And then our coach sent me a video like a week later. Well, because you're fucking deadlifting 400 something pounds. And it made sense. It made sense. So there's certain mechanics with the human body. There's certain things, certain processes. If you're going to do high reps but lower weight, that really works more on strength. It'll help to really define what you have versus hypertrophy. A muscle that's strong can do a lot. It has a lot of stamina, but it can't necessarily lift weight, heavier weights. If that muscle can lift heavier weights, it has to be larger in order to accommodate the weight that it's lifting. You can't be long and lean. Well, for most people, there are anomalies out there. You can't. If you don't have the muscle size to recruit the amount of fibers needed to lift at the capacity you're wanting to lift, you can't lift that. So because our coach had been pushing and pushing and pushing her to lift heavier and heavier and heavier, her shit started popping out. I'm fucking happy for her. But now I'm over here like, I'm 2 plates behind you. I'm only deadlifting 6 plates. You're deadlifting 8. I want to pop 2. So what's going to happen? I have to resign myself to what needs to happen first and foremost. If you are exhausted because of life, because you never slow down enough to be able to process life and recuperate, you will never be able to do what is the next part, which is what? Put your plan into action. I need to lift heavy, heavier than what I lift right now. much heavier. I can't just do that. I'll injure myself. I have to do the preparatory work. You apply this to your spiritual journey. You're being prepared right now to lift heavier than you have ever lifted in your life. You have to want it more than anything you've ever wanted in your life. You have to. You have to. So, what am I doing? Well, I allowed myself to gain about 20 pounds. My body don't like it. It doesn't like it. So what's the next step? To lose weight? No. To induce another recomp. That 20 pounds, I'm going to keep that 20 pounds, but I'm going to convert it. How do you do that? I have to listen to my body. I have to listen to my body. I have to take it to the edge of what I can do and go slightly beyond, but not so far that I harm myself. Stretching and strengthening on a rapid cycle, like a HIIT, high intensity interval training. I can't do HIIT. I get aggressive. It puts me in a fight or flight mode, and that increases my cortisol, and I'll start to crave foods that will hold the fat. So I've never met anyone else that's like that, but I can't do HIIT. What I am being reminded of, Charlie, stretching and strengthening on a rapid cycle, stretching. If you stretch a part of you for a prolonged period, at least 30 seconds, it begins to deactivate the activity of that muscle. It's very good if you have an imbalance. But if you don't, and you continue to stretch it without actually activating it and using it, you're going to create another type of imbalance within yourself. You apply everything that I've said to your spiritual journey. Some people think that I just share these stories because I like talking about myself. No. Everything I share is meant to serve as an analogy to you and how you move through your spiritual journey. It is not my place to tell you how to think. I'm simply here sharing with you something that you can then choose to apply to your journey in whatever way you choose. Have you been overstretching? Have you been deactivating the very part of you that you need the most right now in order to stabilize yourself? For many people, what they've been overstretching and thus deactivating, putting into a state of dormancy, is your shadow. That's a bad thing to do. Why? Your shadow is a part of you that holds the most powerful parts of you. Your soul did that on purpose. Why? So you can commune with demons? Has nothing to do with demons. Has everything to do with the last vestiges of our survival code, our survival instinct. Most people are naturally afraid of the dark. You look at all these people on TikTok scared shitless about me because my eyes are dark. Okay, well, that's your fucking problem. That's your problem, not mine. If you are afraid of the dark, you will never access the truth of your power. I've been aware of my elevated capacity my entire life. But if you compare me, 2024 Emmy, with 2017 Emmy, where I was afraid of my own shadow, I don't even know that girl anymore. I don't know that girl. It's a good thing and also sad. Sad why? Because as much as I'd like to forget that she existed, I can never allow myself to. Why? Because if I forget, I then risk repeating that same exact suffering I endured. I will never choose those options again. I will never preserve a fake peace that never existed. I will pick and choose which battles I will conquer. Not everything is worth my time and energy. I'm not afraid of what's in my shadow. These days, I allow my shadow to be the robe that covers me from inclement weather. It is not evil. No part of me is. It's fucking formidable, though. And that puts a lot of fear in the very people who would like to try. That robe, it has embroidery on it. On the back, it says, fuck around and fucking find out. Because you will find out what it means to approach a sovereign in a crooked way and what it feels like to be straightened the fuck out. I will not play games with people. In order to reach this state of self-awareness, I had to embrace my own shadow. And you know what I found? I was afraid for nothing. I still don't harm people. As much as I could, I don't. I just don't. It's not a part of my character. It's not. Sometimes I wish that I did have it in me to just buy a bulk number of little boxes to put motherfuckers into or little jars. I just don't even have that in me either. Like, that's such a waste. You can turn that into the cutest fairy jar ever. It's like, I'm not going to waste my fucking fairy jar on you. I'm just, yeah. You know what I've learned? That after I do the appropriate response for the appropriate degree of correction, the most powerful thing is to simply keep living like you never existed. You never inconvenienced me. That drives them wild. And I don't fucking care how wild it drives them. I'm not there to watch it. It's time to fight the shadow. It's time to fight the darkness. All these things that are trying so hard to access you and your thoughts, trying to put all of this like really fucked up perception about yourself. No. Small steps, asking for help. Yes, definitely take small steps. There are things that are anticipating you asking for help. Be careful who you ask for help from, but that doesn't mean never ask for help. If you need help, ask for help, but be aware that some people will offer help with a desire to utilize your time of need against you. I've had that happen quite a few times with people. You know, it's no, I'm not going to be hindered by some people's hidden wickedness. Like, no, 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 absolutely not. If I receive help, I'm grateful. If you then, and for those who are afraid to receive help because you've had people turn around and then demand things of you, and you're like, oh my God, I knew it. I need you to listen really closely, okay? Because that was the fear that I had. That was the experiences that I've had. Years ago, there was someone who offered help. It was a considerable amount of help. And they had donated it to the GoFundMe for my sibling. He was dying. He was dying. So it was a very delicate situation. And I was in such a space of vulnerability. And there were things that happened, and this individual I guess they were expecting some type of ownership of me, or I really don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Long story short, whatever happened, they then pointed out, like, I gave you X amount of dollars for your brother. My initial reaction was to cry and, like, I knew it. I knew people would do this. And then I dried my tears. And then I responded. First and foremost, I'm grateful for the help that you gifted my brother. Had I known that it wasn't a gift of life that you were offering, but instead a prepayment for a part of my life, my time, and my existence, I would have kindly refused the payment for my soul. But thank you for the gift, anyways. I still have gratitude for that. No, I will not be refunding that. Sometimes we just got to tell people, I thought that was a gift. Had I known you were intending to prepay for my existence, um, I wouldn't have accepted it. But that's a good thing to know for next time. I won't ever allow you to help me again. Yeah. Old me would have just given it back, like, oh my God, I can't fucking believe this shit. No, no. I received that as a gift, and I don't return gifts. Next time, if what you're doing is transactional and it's a prepayment for something else later down the line, you need to let me know in advance so I can make an informed decision. Because then it helps them to learn. It helps them to learn you can't just buy people like that. You can't just force something on me with some type of bait and switch. Yep. I will no longer have people do those types of things to me and me just give things back like, no, you gave this to me and I already gave it to my brother. Nope, absolutely not. Allow people to help who are genuine. It's time to learn the difference between genuine help and someone who is prepaying for you. Okay? Allow yourself to receive, but do so with discernment. You're on a sacred journey and something wants to turn it upside down. Will you allow it? Everything that happens in your life must first be allowed by you or your soul. Earlier this week, I saved a video where someone was talking about something huge happening tomorrow according to numerology. Ooh, shit. Self-worth. I think for many people, a lot of what's happening is intended to really convolute your perception of your worth, to really get you very upside down, very confused. Like, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. They'll use your emotions. This could be a human being. This could be a disembodied consciousness gaining access or wanting to gain access to you. It could be intrusive thoughts. And intrusive thoughts are really parasitic thought inception. Those hateful thoughts that you have about yourself, are they your thoughts? Or is something using the sound of your voice to convince you, to trigger you? If you want to fight back against the darkness trying to encroach upon your sacred space, you need to begin asking questions and having an awareness of who you are and when it's actually you or when it is something pretending to be you. You need to let go of the things that have happened in the past. Okay? You need to allow yourself to experience some degree of relief from the very things that you've been struggling to process, the very things that you've been allowing yourself to unnecessarily continue to suffer and struggle through. Whatever you choose is what you will live through in this period and the next period. You need to begin choosing what it is you want. So, what do you want? Ask yourself this: what do I want? What do you want? Do you want healing? Do you want some grace for self? Do you want an opportunity to grow, to expand your awareness of what you're capable of? Because whatever it is you want is what's going to repattern your standing scalar waves, your auric field. Your auric field is composed of layer after layer of rotational standing scalar waves. And depending on how that's calibrated, each layer, it will create a type of resonance that will draw to you the very things that you're either really wanting or really wanting to avoid. It doesn't matter which one. Whatever you fixate on is what determines the degree of resonance that happens in your field, right? So let that really sink in. Whatever you're fixated on, that's what's patterning or changing the frequency patterning of your auric field. This is what's calling things to you or repelling things from you. Be very intentional with your thoughts and what you fixate on. Be very, very intentional with it. Dark things are going to try, and I hear collusion. What? Why collusion? Hold on. Secret or illegal cooperation or conspiracy, especially in order to cheat or deceive others. A secret agreement. Colludere. I love Latin. Colludere. Okay. And that means have a secret agreement. Are you talking about demonic things again? I'm just sick and tired of that topic. Hold on. I think Michael is referencing demonic shit again. You're not afraid. I know I'm not afraid, but it gets annoying. Okay. Baby cakes. Is there a secret demonic thing, agreement that's being put into play? Yes. Baby cakes. Show me no. Okay. Baby cakes. Was my paternal grandmother a badass? Yes. Okay. So I'm going to ask you again. Is the colludere, is it pertaining to principality agreements, pacts between principalities? Yes. Let me just, okay. Baby cakes. Are they activating that agreement tomorrow? Yes. Does it have to do with a predatory species? No. Does it have to do with synergistic integration? Yes. Is it synergistic integration with a morphogenetic template? Yes. Okay, baby cakes, I need you to answer me. Is that synergistic integration a fancy and sterilized way to talk about possession. Okay. Ugh. Is that Venom movie out tomorrow? I believe it is. What is the premise of that? Because they're making the announcement through that movie. Okay. Let there be carnage. Oh my fucking God. The premise is that Eddie Brock tries to rebuild his career by interviewing serial killer Cletus, who then becomes the host for the symbiote Carnage and escapes prison. Fucking shit. Francis is secretly imprisoned for possession of a deadly superpower. Carnage is a sentient being of pure evil who hates Venom and wants to kill him. Cletus becomes a host of the symbiote Carnage and escapes prison after a failed execution. They're synergistically integrating with principalities. Okay, so I'm hungry. Okay, so okay. Um, hmm. Okay, communication and balance. You need to balance the communication between the self and the soul. You need to allow yourself to be guided as far as what you should do and what you should not do. There's nothing to necessarily be afraid of. If you experience fear, that's bringing your attention to the very things you need to pay attention to, the things you need to address. Breathe, breathe. There's nothing that needs to be revised. We've entered, again, we've been told before, we've entered into an event horizon, right? So, this event horizon is going to require us to be exposed to certain things, but within moderation. There's no way to avoid any of this at this point, and I don't know that you should. Exposure by those who have high frequency and are, to some degree, impenetrable to malignant distortions, those who can't be hoodwinked or bamboozled by fucking demons. Exposure to it helps you to then begin building some degree of latent immunity to it. Eventually, for those who are here from, I'm, well, can't I just say it? Okay. Okay. Those who have a certain type of soul purpose, eventually you will become immune to this type of thing. This is a full-scale war that's been initiated. You'll become immune to it, but it requires slow, moderate exposure, like a little bit here, a little bit there, because then um, your body starts to like your luminous bodies. They start to build a degree of immune response. It won't be able to penetrate as deep. You won't get core code integration. You won't become a synergistic symbiote. Um, most people will have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about. That's okay. That's okay. Just know, um, All of this has to happen. There's no way to avoid it. There's nothing to be afraid of. All of this has to happen. For those who are of lower frequency, you're still okay. You're still okay. In order for this type of consciousness to integrate into physicality of flesh, it needs to compress. A lot of compression will distort the codes, and that makes it, Michael says, tread carefully. There are some, can I say this? Can I say it in this way? Okay. There are some colds, some viruses that are much more transmissible, right? They live on surfaces for a long period of time, so surface to surface contact, that's enough to, they're more virulent, they can pass it along. Whereas other viruses, they can't live outside of the host for too long. It's not viable, so they're not as virulent. When this higher degree of consciousness compresses itself because it's so new to the compression, it becomes less virulent. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Okay. Have you guys heard of hypochlorous acid? Holy fucking shit. 1 second. Hold on. That would work. That would work. Water, salt, and vinegar mixed with electricity creates powerful and versatile solutions simply called electrolyzed water. Hypochlorous acid is electrolyzed water. When you electrolyze the water, you are running electrical power through that water. With 2 electrodes dipped in the water, it creates hydrogen. So with that, if you apply that to spirit, sorry. um, let's just say I've been given a very clear understanding of a specific process that would explain why my field is highly electric in nature and why I had to be basically electrocuted as a child in order to alter my morphogenetic template in such a way that would cause me to permanently stay in perpetuity, stay in an electrically charged state. Okay. Productivity. Your productivity is going to increase in tandem with the productivity and efforts of dark things. You need to make sure that your field is always secured. And if you're able to do that, then they can be as productive as they want. It won't enter into your field and it will not affect you. Okay. Consistency. You need to be very, very consistent in what it is you try to do. The types of effects or changes that you're trying to initiate within your life, you need to be very consistent with how you do that. And if you're consistent, then these things, these dark circumstance opportunities or potentialities, will not be as successful. It'll go into a preservation type state. Meaning, if enough of us have the capacity to do what needs to be done internally, we then begin to alter the morphogenetic templates of those around us. They won't be able to continue to breach. They'll need to retreat and enter into a preservation state. They'll probably start to go dormant and wait for another period where they can be more successful in their attempts to hijack. Did you guys know that there's literature that I've come across, scientific literature, medical literature that I've come across, where they were speculating and were able to prove the efficacy of hypochlorous acid being run in a humidifier, cool mist humidifier. I have hypochlorous acid, the brand that I specifically use, on my Amazon favorites. If you go to Healthy Home, you click on this QR code and then you look for Healthy Home. That's the list that has the hypochlorous acid that I use and the whole house humidifier system that I use. It's a cool mist humidifier. I love that thing. I have 2 of them. I love that thing. Everything on my Amazon list are things that I have and personally use. It would also be good to look into the use of grapefruit seed extract, the liquid form, grapefruit seed extract, as well as the sinus spray that I have listed in my Amazon shop. Those things, the sinus spray, the eardrops, those have low degrees of grapefruit seed extract in it as a preservative. And they're very good at addressing sinus issues, also addressing ear infection issues. That's what I use. None of my kids have ear infections. Many, many, many years. Many, many, many years. We don't get ear infections. Yeah. We used to always when they were very, very little. Has to do with cutting out foods that are highly inflammatory in nature and then making the body inhospitable to infectious diseases. It has a lot to do with that. I can't go through that in a live stream because YouTube will absolutely remove the video. They don't like it when I talk about things that can actually assist in your efforts. They don't like that at all. So yeah, final card. Let's pick a final card. Quick reminder. I will be doing the Baneful Protection workshop on Saturday. I believe there are either 3 or 2 tickets left where you have the option of receiving a kit. Where did I put it? This is basically half of the kit, and it comes with all kind of different things, including portable altar. So Michael says I can talk about this. So I have a full-on portable altar, right? It's this laminated mat that I created, and you can really put it anywhere. And the way this portable altar works, you work in the center part, and all of the sigils and seals that are placed on it, they provide instruction, and it concentrates it all into the center, which is a trap. The trap doesn't allow any of the dark, baneful work to exit. It's all in there and it's all contained. So if people want to do dark shit to you, I'm saying it is just so fucking potent. So fucking potent. I can't wait to share it with the people in the workshop. I love that magnesium oil. I love that magnesium oil. I use it all the time. Sometimes I'll use it on simply like my armpits sometimes, because I use it as deodorant, and I have no deodorant. I have no BO. And sometimes I will mix a little bit of it with some castor oil and use it as a castor oil pack on my belly to reduce inflammation. Yeah. Brain regeneration. Coconut oil is really good. There's also quite a few other things. I can't think of them right now. NAD, glutathione. There's quite actually, what would be better is probably a private session. Private session would probably be better. My joints were giving out and now they barely ache at all. Your joints were being destabilized because of the toxin load that was being stored in the joints within the capsules. The toxin sometimes will enter into the synovial fluid, which is the like lubrication for your joints. You're detoxing. If you're breastfeeding, you got to be careful, okay? Because whatever you detox, it can end up in your breast milk. You don't want baby to get that. But if you're not breastfeeding, detox all you want, boo. Detox away. All right, final card. Oh, ooh, shit's gonna pop off. Okay, God has spoken. Card number 9. Here goes. Card number 9. Khadga. She wields a holy sword of divine severance, empowering the soul in radical letting go. She instills the courage to bear the pain of loss and the wisdom to realize a secret blessing that can only arise when we embrace change. Where our strength of will may falter, she intervenes to ensure we do not sabotage our ultimate fulfillment and spiritual progress. There's a separating of the wheat from the chaff. You are not here to save someone else. The people who are going to fixate on saving someone else just don't be one of those people. That's all I can say. Charlie, I don't know that you got to stop, but maybe slow down, maybe not as much. Yeah. So just do more reading to see. Do a lot of reading. Make sure that everything's okay. So let's see. She will not allow our souls to be ensnared in any kind of deception or trapped in fear. She is the liberator, and her sword clears the path, revealing truth. For many of you who are intended to rise above the circumstance that's blanketing the earth, don't allow yourself to be deceived to operate in a space of thinking you are going to save someone from their own decisions. Okay? Like, I can't emphasize that enough. It's up to you what you do. It's up to you what you do. Khadga is a Sanskrit word for sword. Devi Khadgahasta means a divine mother who wields the sword. What is this sacred weapon? The sword severs, breaks, and destroys. It can be a symbol for truth and the need of the soul to let something or someone go, even though the attachment of the ego may demand that we remain connected out of fear of loss or fear of the pain of loss. Devi Kali's sword is a symbol of her will and her attainment. Her sword knows which attachments require severing and when and how to obtain such a release. Even when the holding on, perhaps out of fear or guilt or doubt, denies us the capacity to even consider walking away, her will prevails. Sometimes we invest in a relationship, a situation, a place, or an opportunity because we feel it is needed and beneficial, only to realize later, if at all, that we have outgrown it. Then it becomes, at best, something slowing down our awakening, and at worst, a direct impediment to our spiritual growth. Many of us are going to experience this impediment. It will come in the form of people we've known for our entire lives, people who we want to spend the rest of our lives with. It will come in the form of a circumstance, work, relationship, friendship, family. I don't know. But you need to learn to let go when it's time to let go. Regressive tendencies creep up on us slowly so that we don't realize how much damage is being done over time. Yep, I'm realizing this so much. I've allowed myself to damage myself, my growth, my perception slowly over time so that I don't fully realize what it is I'm doing and agreeing to. But now I know. Now I know what it is I've agreed to over and over and over with different players, and I'm not willing to anymore. It's not because there's a loss of love for other people. It's because there's an increase of love for myself. Even if we have a sense something is not quite right, our awareness can never be complete when we are determined to remain attached and unwilling to see any truth that threatens that attachment. And any unwavering desire for a particular outcome locks us into an unwillingness to see the truth that would shift our perspective and open us to a superior outcome. We may admit something is wrong, but choose to believe that if we just change ourselves somehow or work harder to heal the other person, then the negativity will transform into something positive. Two negatives make a positive. If there's a negative circumstance that you're in and you choose what appears to be the negative option of letting go, you then are free to enter into a positivity for your life. Yeah. We then become trapped in an impossible situation of our own creation, knowing something is not working, but as we are not capable of letting go, fooling ourselves into thinking we can heal and transform through methods that cannot accomplish the task. When Kali Devi's sword appears as a message, she advises that whatever we are struggling with can and should be handled or handed over to a higher power. She will sever the threads of attachment, and we can trust that if someone or something is meant to remain in our lives or to return according to divine love and wisdom, then so it shall be. If we need to go against divine love to keep something, it can only create suffering. She will not only remove that impediment on your path, but support you, so the release brings you joy rather than endless sorrow. The oracle denotes divine workings in a struggle you are moving through at this time. There is a predestined series of events due to occur, as orchestrated at a higher level. The timing will incorporate the paths of those you have soul contracts with and the movement of the collective consciousness. For you to be at the appropriate vibration to move in harmony with where you need to be and whom you need to interact with, certain releases have to take place now. You can trust in the doors that close just as much as the doors that will open as a result. Woo! For some of us, doors must be closed and slammed shut for others, just so we can be redirected back onto the path we belong and have always belonged on. There's going to be tremendous change. Tomorrow is a date of initiation. I don't know what that means for most of you. I just know I need to sit quietly. I need to allow myself to assess everything that needs to be assessed, to come to terms with every decision that has been made and will be made, and to trust blindly in my capacity to overcome any circumstance placed before me. Not only will I overcome it, I will choose to rise back to my rightful place. There is a movement, largely unnoticed, deep beneath the surface of the water. Something's been moving. It's been being tracked, but not shared with any of us. The beasts of old are rising. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. This is the process we have to go through as a collective so we can let go of the very thing that's been dying for so long. Let it go and allow yourself to hold on to the new thing that soul is trying to place in your hand. A new life, a new existence, a new way to see yourself and move through your life. Let go of the old, not because it's old, but because it never suited you to begin with. Not even when it was at its prime. It was never compatible with you, the way you saw yourself, the way you held yourself or refused to hold yourself. It never honored the truth of your gravity. Many of us will begin to see just how profound our presence is in this world. And as you begin to see it, allow yourself to simply observe from a neutral space of observation. Just observe. There's no need to jump to conclusions. There's no need to gaslight yourself into thinking you're full of it or that you're experiencing some type of delusion of grandeur. No, just observe. I'm being told right now a golden path is being paved to bring you back to your throne room. I don't know what the fuck that means, but do they have snacks there? Because I'm hungry. I gotta go eat. I'm gonna go eat now. Everything will be fine. We're approaching some really questionable times, but that's part of the adventure, right? I guess. I guess that's how we have to see it. Besides, when you enter into a space of questioning, that's when you're properly positioned to receive answers you didn't know you needed. So question if you want. Just don't doubt. Because doubt is a question that's been answered, but you refuse to receive the answer. Question. Don't doubt. Everything will be fine. So, final reminder. I'm going to be live on Saturday to do my workshop. If you'd like to be part of this baneful protection workshop, it's super potent. Click on that QR code or the link in the comment. If you would like to learn how I work energy, you don't have to know anything in advance, but the Morphogenetic Fundamentals workshop is the workshop for you. Either click on that QR code or the link in the comment. And then there was another event. Oh, yes, the Secure Spaces event. This is really potent for what's happening and going to be continuing to happen. One principality has been released. There's another 4 that are coming into the realm. Each time another one is going to be released into this space, there will be another catastrophic event. It might not be in the same region, but it displaces enough of this time-space matrix to create adverse weather events. Let that sink in. Okay? All the anchors in your home need to be removed. And there have been a lot of things that have happened and allowed to happen over the last several weeks, if not months at this point, that have really allowed for an anchoring in the home by way of reflective surfaces, black mirrors and regular mirrors. It's not something you have to be afraid of. It's something you need to begin mitigating now. As more and more are pushed through, I'm speaking principalities at this point. As more and more are pushed through, the need for your space to be secured increases. There's not something you need to be afraid of. This is something you need to prepare for. Okay? So I got to get going. I'll see you guys again very soon. Please give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed, please do subscribe, turn on that notification bell. Join me when